Hey everyone, it is Maddie here from dclblogger.com. Been meaning to make a video like this for a while now. I want to make a video on comparing High Fidelity and Decentraland. Now they're both aiming to be a similar type of metaverse, a place where you can hang out hopefully in VR with people across the globe and transact in blockchain and all that kind of really cool stuff. So I'm assuming people that are going to be watching this video is going to be a mix of people from Decentraland, people from the blockchain space, people from even High Fidelity, hopefully. But for those that don't know me, I run a blog called dclblogger.com. I predominantly invest in the cryptocurrency space, and recently over the year or two I've been really interested in the blockchain gaming space or platforms built on the blockchain, as I believe that the ease of transfer of value, bringing your digital identity online on blockchain is just going to take technology to the next level. So I'm really heavily involved, both from a financial perspective and even from an emotional, intellectual perspective. So in this video, I wanted to compare categorically different parts of both Decentraland and High Fidelity. I'm pretty invested in Decentraland. I have a lot of land, but for High Fidelity, to be honest, I've just done my best to research as much as I can over the last few days. Although I've been following Decentraland for more than a year, I don't know much about High Fidelity, so there may be some holes in my analysis. If I have said anything wrong or said anything that requires more of an explanation, if anyone from the High Fidelity world can kind of correct me or let me know, and I'll add it to the article. But this is basically a YouTube video going through the article, and yeah, let's kind of get started. I would want to say that what prompted this kind of a video was the very honest and open discussion that High Fidelity had with I believe their weekly general assemblies that they keep with their team and the CEO Philip, where he brings up the progress of High Fidelity, some of the issues that they would like the team and the community to know about, so that, you know, at the end of the day, it's a collaborative effort to build this world, both for High Fidelity and Decentraland. Also, guys, I wanted to mention that this is not really going to be a kind of butting of heads. I don't want to say this is better than that. It's more just a comparative side-by-side analysis, just how both of these companies go about building their worlds and the different models and decisions that they've made, and the effect these decisions have on the community and the building of this world, and the outcome of this world. So this was a really cool eye-opening video personally for me. Although I'm not involved in High Fidelity, I can resonate with some of the issues or some of the topics that were discussed in this video, because at the end of the day, things like having a small market in terms of people that have VR headsets and communicate and participate in virtual reality, it's just so much smaller. Things like governance, things like ban lists and managing all that kind of stuff. Yeah, all of that stuff, it is all something that Decentraland will tackle sometime in the future. And also a shout out to DCL Plazas, who did their own analysis. Watching that video, in fact, Rio sent that video to me. I watched it and decided to do a similar thing that he's done, which is gone through a comparison as well and picked out some of the stuff discussed in High Fidelity's video and seen how Decentraland compares in that sense. So that was a really cool eye-opening video for me, and I think everyone should read it who are heavily involved in building the metaverse world. Firstly, I want to kind of give both Decentraland and High Fidelity users a bit of an overview of what both worlds are at the moment. So basically, let's start with Decentraland because, well, I know it a little bit better than High Fidelity. But what Decentraland aimed to be is an open world, and this is just literally just an open bird's eye view of the map. And each pixel over here represents a 16 by 16 meter plot of land. Especially the dark gray bits. Okay, so I know there's a lot of colors and a lot of things happening in this map. I'll explain it really quickly, but basically squiggly parts are road networks. These are double roads, so roads that span 2 plots of land. These are Genesis plazas. There's 9 of them across the map. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And they are where Decentraland, they kind of own those areas, and they wish, if they want to hold events and experiences, they can just hold them over there. So they're about 20 by 20 plots of land large, and I believe 20 times 16 is about, if I do some quick math, about 320 meters. So 320 meters by 320 meters in width and length. And if they want to hold events, etc., they'll hold them over there. Now, light blue lands are those that are for sale. So you can see that they're all weird shapes because they're all owned by someone else, or at least most of them are, and they are for sale. So you can kind of click on them and see how much people have listed them for. This one, I'm assuming a Chinese investor owns. There's plenty of investors from different parts of the globe involved in Decentraland, whether they be from China, Korea, Australia, America. It's a very global market, and you will see it very soon. But this one is selling for 688,000 mana. Okay, and a mana token is what Decentraland use in their game. I'll go through that a little bit later. But basically, yeah, the light blue are lands for sale. Red is from my wallet, so these are some of the lands that I own that I've listed for sale. You can see that they've located. I've kind of got land in a variety of different places. And yeah, that's basically how it works. So it's not like High Fidelity, which I'm going to go through a little bit later, where you have your world you can build on your server and then share your URL and get people to join this server or this world. It's kind of everyone that logs in are trafficking the same map. They're going around seeing each other's builds. Everyone's builds is open to people that want to come and visit. This is the general idea of Decentraland. Although the world is not open for this to be seen at the moment, the world is expected to be open by the end of Q2 this year. So hopefully in the next 2 months, we should have a beta version working so we can enter it and see what's going on. This is how the world pretty much works with Decentraland. You can see it's a pretty big map. There's quite a lot of plots available for sale, or at least available to own. I believe there's about 43,000 private individual plots. Purple places are districts. So these are projects that are being worked on by project leads. This one's Vegas City. This one's District X. We have Virtual Reality Shopping District. We have, what's this one? Fashion Street. We've got Bittrex tomorrow. We've got Democratic People's Republic of Yeti Pay, whatever that is. Eco Games. We have all kinds of things. We have the Crypto Valley, where this project wants to be like an online VR digital Silicon Valley, where you can go in and pitch your products and services and businesses. Engineering Park, Battleground, Dragon Kingdom. This one I believe is Dragon City, which is one of the biggest, or is the biggest Chinese district. So it's pretty cool. Like, there's all these dedicated projects. I believe there's around about 40 out there available, or that people are collaborating on and making it works. So these are official projects within Decentraland. Obviously, people have their own private projects going on, which they haven't named at the moment. But when the world opens, I'm sure a lot of them will create something, right? So this is how Decentraland kind of works. This is what the map and the overall view looks like, in the sense of like a bird's eye view of how you'll be exploring it once it goes live. But in terms of High Fidelity, I wasn't able to download and install. Well, I was able to download and install the client, but in terms of exploring it, to be honest, my Mac is just not powerful enough, to be honest, to fluidly go through High Fidelity. So I've had to rely on some YouTube videos. So shout out to Strawberry Singh, who I'm gonna go through one of her videos where she kind of did a bit of a tour, and you can see how they've.
He's like frozen.
How they kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, I actually wanted to tell the people on my stream a few quick tips.
this is how they explore and go to different locations. So they kind of go through different places and select
if you go to
which.
start, there's usually somebody there from 9 a.m. to like 1 a.m. PST, and they'll help you with any information that you need about High Fidelity. And also,
So basically, that's how it works. That's how you go to different places. People that have built them, you can visit the server or their world by opening up that interface and select the location that you want to visit. So you can see throughout the video they've gone to different places. This is the start area where they can go check out the basic controls and learn about how to navigate themselves around Decentraland. Then later on, they go and visit Mexico, I believe, which is quite stunning. Like, this is pretty beautiful. It's a nice big world. You can walk around.
It is pretty cool.
Right, you got Mexico. Then you have a little dance area.
It'll make your avatar dance.
Go do all kinds of things, maybe hold club events and dancing events and all that kind of stuff. And then you got this person's room, I believe.
Oh yeah, is it a red cube?
Right, so you can navigate the area by just opening up that interface, clicking where you want to go, which place you want to go, and it'll pretty much teleport you there, and you can start doing whatever you want to do. So it kind of has its own benefits in the sense that you can build pretty big, large, immersive areas, and you can kind of host these on your own servers, and then pay your own monthly fee, $10 to $15 or how much ever it costs you to host, and you can build whatever you want and share your creations with the rest of the community. High Fidelity is wanting to create like a big platform where you can build virtual reality experiences and share them across whoever you want to share them. So pretty much like the World Wide Web, where you can have your own domain name and create your own website, and as you share your website, people can come and you can show them different things on your website. You can have them play games, you can have them watch videos, etc., etc. So it seems like they're going for the same thing, but obviously there is the drawback of not having them next to each other. So unlike Decentraland, where you can pretty much just keep walking down the road and keep seeing other people's creations, and people that have a land in certain areas can benefit from the traffic that Decentraland as a whole generates. It's a bit different in that sense, right? And that's why in Decentraland, what you'll see is the closer you get to the center, or the closer to these double roads you get, or if you're connected to any districts that are popular, or if you're connected to any of these Genesis plazas, land is a little bit more expensive. And the cheapest land, I'm going to go through this a little bit later, so maybe I'll keep that for further down the video. So yeah, you have the Mexico City. I really think this is quite beautiful, to be honest, and I hope Decentraland can make use of having these virtual worlds that are as big as this, as immersive as this. Like something like this, I'm assuming you need a pretty damn big piece of land for, especially if each land is 16 by 16 meters. The community is, this is Decentraland, speaking on behalf of Decentraland. This is their Discord server where they have about 10,000 members. In fact, we just crossed 10,000 members a couple of weeks ago. So we're about 10,275, and people can discuss in the general, whichever channel they desire to discuss into. General land trading. The land trading's pretty, pretty active. I'd say about 100 messages a day, 50 to 100 messages a day. People talk about trading lands, buying lands, selling lands. They post their lands for sale. They buy, they negotiate with each other, etc., etc. General Avatar, the creator contest that was held recently, where people built all kinds of things, which I will go through later. So the Decentraland, although it hasn't opened yet, people can build things kind of offline, off-chain, and as the world opens, you'll be able to import that in. Okay. We have High Fidelity have their own Discord server, their official one. It makes sense in terms of High Fidelity to not really have that big of a kind of a channel to chat in, whether it be online, not within the VR world, right? Because High Fidelity is open for everyone to come and communicate and discuss it, and I believe, and I reckon that's how a lot of the discussions take place. So it makes sense for them to not go that heavy in building these community social chat groups in Discord, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. But they have a Discord server. I don't know if this is the official one. I think it is. It's not that big. There's a few hundred people, but I don't want to compare this to the Decentraland one, because while Decentraland have pushed to grow specifically their Discord server. So they've got their own forum. High Fidelity have their own forum, which has about 6,000 members. Obviously their own Twitter accounts and all that kind of stuff. In terms of communication, Esteban and Ari, who are the two leads of Decentraland, pretty much the two faces of Decentraland. Esteban, being the tech lead at Decentraland, did an AMA, and they regularly poke their head in the Discord chats and comment on a few things here and there. Although a lot of the community do wish that they would come out and we would have more of a kind of face-to-face, ask me anything YouTube video, or like more YouTube updates and stuff like that. They kind of work behind the scenes and update or announce things regularly via the blog, etc., etc. Hopefully there'll be more kind of stronger lines of communication. Whether it's important at this point or not, I know that they're kind of got their head down and working to push this world to open before Q2, so that's understandable. But looking at how High Fidelity conduct themselves and open their lines of communication to the rest of the community by being part of the world and pretty much allowing us to talk to them and figuring out what's going on together, it's very cool to see that. So hopefully Decentraland start to move in that direction. I'm sure that would be appreciated. Okay, let's kind of go through the funding and like the financial momentum that both of these guys have. At the end of the day, this is really important because at the end of the day, to create something so big, you need to hire developers, you need to hire talent, and that's not cheap. If you want to hire good talent, have a good space, build these things, you need money at the end of the day, right? So you need to know that both of these companies have the funds, the tools, the momentum to kind of see this through. You don't want to be halfway through being so emotionally and physically, financially invested into these companies that they just fall flat because they just can't continue. And this is something we've seen a lot of ICOs. A lot of these things happen to ICOs where they just kind of ran out of money, ran out of steam as the crypto market fell pretty big. Like a lot of the altcoins fell well over 80%. Most of them fell over 90%. And all these ICOs that had raised about $15 to $20 million, their portfolios were probably worth a few $1,000,000. So it is important to figure out how they've gone in terms of investment. So High Fidelity, I'm just using Crunchbase for this. Total funding amount $73 million so far. A lot of the series fundings were done over this period over here with a few different investors who participated: Brea Capital, Blockchain Capital, Galaxy Digital, IDG Capital, obviously incorporating blockchain into their business model. It opened the doors to more blockchain capital firms to invest into them. So they went the traditional route and invested or raised money through just the normal funding rounds. But Decentraland took a different approach. They were kind of an ICO where they raised $20 to $25 million. Let's just take it $21 million. They raised under 5 minutes. So it was really, really quick ICO. The way ICOs work in the Decentraland world is they pretty much say that they give a white paper or the business concept, and they get people to sign up to keep updated as to when they release the ICO time, and then they release the date that the ICO goes live and the time. As soon as it opens up, people go nuts and send as much Ethereum and whatever token they wish to invest with, and then Decentraland pretty much gives the mana token, or the token that Decentraland are going to be using is the mana coin, right? So the mana coin is what the ICO was about, and people receive that mana coin at a rate of about 2.4 cents per coin. And you can see a lot of it happened under 5 minutes. In fact, it pretty much happened in about 35 seconds. So under a minute, everything was raised, and they reached their cap, and the ICO was over. So it was crazy. There was a crazy amount of people invested into Decentraland when it raised its token ICO. So that was a lot of money that they had invested back in, I believe, mid-2017, which was a long time ago from now. And since then, they've gone on they have gone on to hold an auction event to auction off the lands that you see now on the Decentraland marketplace, all right, or the Atlas. So each of these little pixels, apart from the green, apart from the purple, apart from the light gray, all of these private lands, these dark gray, the light blue, all of them, they were all auctioned off, and I can click on all of them and kind of see the price that was paid during the auction. So 1 year ago, this was bought for 1,000 mana. back then it would have been maybe $50 or $100 for this one piece. And as you get closer and closer, like for example, this one here connected to this Genesis Plaza, my internet is ridiculously slow today. All right, it doesn't seem to want to work. Okay, here we go. This was bought for 3,000 mana about 1 year ago. So you can see this was bought from the auction. Some of them have been bought multiple times, so they've been bought off each other. So this one over here, you can see it was bought at auction, 207,000 mana. There's a couple of bids on it, so people have put what price they want to pay for it, but this guy wants 7.9 million mana for it. You can see this one over here. This was at auction, it sold for 600,000 mana, but 3 months ago it sold for 400,000 mana. So this one has actually dropped in value. This is actually one of the most, if not the most valuable land in all of Decentraland, in the sense that it's connected to Center Genesis Plaza, right at this area where you should see most of the traffic going and visiting. Let me try and see if I can find anything that has some transaction history to it. Let's see if this one. So this was bought at 10,000 mana 4 months ago at the second auction. But anyway, the first auction, if we were to go through my article that I have mentioned before, in terms of how much money was spent, quite a lot. In the first auction, sorry, I've gone through the token economy. Where have I got the auction? Okay, so they held their ICO, and so for the first auction, 161 million mana was spent, over 35,000 parcels of land, around about 35,000 parcels of land, amounting to, at the time, $30 million. Okay, that was then. Now, all of this mana that was spent and all this money that was spent to buy this land, it was all burnt, meaning it was all effectively pretty much just disposed of. So why they decided to do that is because disposing of mana token from the supply, it increases the value of mana, right? So the Decentraland team, all the mana that was raised from the auctions, they pretty much disposed of it. It's not in anyone's wallet that is accessible, and so it's kind of decreased the supply of mana in the sense it's decreased the mana supply, and thus it's expected that the price of mana will increase quicker. And in the second auction that was held just the last December, that finished in 2018, the rest of the 9,331 parcels were sold again, and by that time everyone had kind of picked up on Decentraland. And in the first auction you could see many lands that went for the minimum of 1,000 mana, but in the second auction the cheapest land was 7,000 mana that sold. Many sold for 30,000, 20,000 mana, 15,000 mana, but the cheapest ones that sold were 7,000 mana. So 110 million mana was raised, and $6.6 million was spent effectively. Okay, so that's pretty damn good, to be honest, especially considering that this was December 2018 was pretty bearish in terms of the crypto market. Bitcoin had fallen quite a bit and all that kind of stuff. So having an economy tied, if we were talk about High Fidelity have a stable coin. Actually, before I get onto that, so let me just finish this. So yeah, Decentraland raised about $20.7 million. I believe they have that in the form of traditional assets and some in crypto. So they are pretty well, they have mentioned a few times that they're pretty well situated to see this through. We also have some really big institutional investors. We have DCG, Digital Currency Group, headed by Barry Silbert, whose group owns about 1% of Bitcoin. So there's a pretty big team involved. There's a pretty big investors involved with Decentraland to see this through. That have, I'm assuming they have a lot of land as well. So they have some land. They've also opened up a VC arm to help fund and promote services built on Decentraland. So if you want to build something on Decentraland, whether it be a game or a service, you can approach their that specific funding arm, and they can help you with it. So there's definitely plenty of support for people that want to build on Decentraland and for Decentraland themselves. So let's talk a bit about the economy in terms of the token and the land market, etc. for Decentraland. Firstly, there's not much in terms of like for Decentraland, it's tied to a currency, a cryptocurrency that is on exchanges. In fact, it's on some very prominent exchanges. It's on pretty much all of the top exchanges: Bittrex, Binance. What do we have? Bitfinex, Huobi, Coinbase recently added them. So it's pretty much on all the top exchanges. You can buy the coin, but there's a bit of a different. It's hard to gauge how it's all going to pan out, because at the end of the day, the cryptocurrency market is it fluctuates quite a lot, right? It's very volatile. And you can see here the price of Decentraland coin has gone from 11 cents. Actually, it's gone from 0.014 cents to 0.09 cents at its peak, 0.2 cents. Actually, no, sorry, $0.2. So that's 20 cents, 21 cents. We have 1 cent here. We have 15 cents here, 20 cents. It's gone back down to 9 cents. It's gone back down to 7 cents. It's gone back up to 18 cents. And now it's kind of trading at 5 cents. So it's moved all over the place. And how do you manage your building, your creations, your investments, and everything with such a fluctuant currency to trade in? So that's a bit of a kind of a pro and a con in terms of, yes, it can go up. That might affect the land market. It can go down. That might affect how people transact and buy items within Decentraland. Whereas High Fidelity, we're a bit too ahead over there. High Fidelity, they have a stable coin called the HFC, High Fidelity coin. And to get your High Fidelity coins, you have to book an appointment with the bank. So you click this, you got to book an appointment with the High Fidelity bank. Click this, you put in the calendar when you want to go in and kind of get your HFC coins. And with these HFC coins, which are actually on the blockchain, basically, I think you have to send them Ethereum to the Ethereum address, and they give you the equivalent in HFC. And I think it's 100 HFC to $1 $1 or something of that, something like that. So I think because of this not really being initially designed for the crypto market, there's been a bit of confusion in terms of how to operate and participate in the economy. I don't think many people know how to use the banking system, or at least cryptocurrency, get their hands on Ethereum and then kind of send Ethereum out. I believe that's it's a hard way to do it. I think they would benefit greatly if they were to open just the traditional credit cards and PayPal and all that kind of stuff to get your HFC. And I do get and understand that they're moving more towards blockchain, but unfortunately blockchain and VR requires a lot of education in the real world for people to kind of figure out how to utilize it. And it's a bit of a drawback that both Decentraland and High Fidelity face. Okay, so that's interesting in the sense that High Fidelity have their own currency, but it's a stable coin, unlike Decentraland and Mana. So your HFC will always kind of be worth pretty much the same thing. All right, so with Decentraland, the coin is worth, it fluctuates, right? So currently it's worth 5 cents. This is the cheapest lands on the whole market. It's 10,900 mana. You can place a bid on these lands, maybe get them for a bit cheaper. You can place a bid for whatever you want, 10 mana, 100 mana, 9,000 mana, see if the person accepts it. But let's just go with the cheapest. It's 10,800 mana, right at the bottom right corner, pretty close to Dragon City. But this 16 by 16 meter one plot of land will cost you 11,000 mana pretty much, which is about $550. Let's just say $500 it's going to cost you at the current time. So now think about, if mana does go up hypothetically to $1, will this person still be selling it at 10,900 mana, which at that time is going to be $10,900, right? So that's a bit of an area that Decentraland haven't seen before, because the coin hasn't fluctuated that much yet, but it'll be interesting to see how that affects the economy within Decentraland. At any time, you can kind of go to nonfungible.com and check out. Nonfungible.com have a bunch of games built on blockchain, and they basically track data on historical sales within the game. So Decentraland is not really a game, it's more of a platform, but you can check out how much has been transacted or what lands have sold recently. So you can go to, I was trying to actually find a similar thing for High Fidelity in the same of items and people buying and selling things on the marketplace, but I couldn't really find anything for that. So if you do know a place I can go to kind of add this into the article, let me know. But for Decentraland, you can go in and see that, all right, an hour ago, this land was sold for 11,450 mana, $564. 2 hours ago, this one was sold. 6 hours ago, this was sold, etc., etc. 10 hours ago, this was sold for 19,000 mana, so obviously a little bit more expensive than the other one because it is connected to a single road and in between two really big districts. I believe Vegas is over here on the left and Decentraland University is here on the right. So lands connected to this kind of windy road over here is generally 20,000 mana and north. So this person was kind of lucky to get under 20,000. This one here sold for a whopping 85,000 mana. In fact, someone just bought it for 40,000 mana a few days back and listed it for 85,000 mana and it sold. So within 3 days, this person made a bit of a profit of $2,000, literally just buying and selling this piece of land. And this one was really important because it's in this small pocket over here. I regularly do videos on Decentraland land evaluations because I'm pretty interested in buying and selling land in Decentraland. But this specific one over here, right? It sits in between. What was that one or was it this one? Whoops. Yeah, it was this one, right? It was sold for 40,000 mana 4 days ago, then sold for 85,000 mana 15 hours ago. So this one is special in the sense that it's connected to Fashion Street and it's in this little pocket over here. So people that have land in this pocket, land is worth quite a lot, to be honest. At the end of the day, it's supply and demand. So people want land that is exciting, it's unique. And so this one is unique in the sense that it has one side by Fashion Street, two sides by road. There's not many of these lands available. You can see there's another one over here. And that's pretty much the only other land in this little pocket that has that. So the more kind of features you can add to your land, the more valuable it is. The closer to different districts, the more valuable it is. This little pocket over here is quite expensive. Lands connected to single roads or any of these districts are usually 40, 50,000 mana and above. So what's that? 50,000 mana is currently about $2,500 for a 16 by 16 meter plot of land. I'm sure from the high fidelity people listening to this are probably like, what the heck is going on? Why are people paying so much for this kind of land? But yeah, the economy is as such, right? So people have been trading land for the last year or so, and you can see on nonfungible.com how much they sell for. Now, over the last week, we have seen $45,000 transacted in land, which is 900,000 mana. Now, this is just the page for single parcels of land, just the single ones. That's why they're all just one little square block. But if you go to Decentraland Estate, estates are the name that we give to lands that are connected, one or more, and they're connected. So this is a 2-land estate, a 55-land estate, which I actually bought recently. I spent $32,000 on this land, 650,000 mana, which, to be honest, it's really cheap for this size land in this area and in this market. I pretty much bought each land for the cheapest available price, and it's connected to both Dragon City and the end of this road, and it's 55 pieces that are estates. So estates of this size are quite rare, and especially for this price. And you've probably noticed, especially from High Fidelity, that to build something of a significant size, you need quite a lot of land connected to each other. So my strategy has always been to invest in larger estates and rent them to game developers and developers that want to build something and monetize it in the future. So maybe I could split it up to some game developer that wants to build for Dragon City, or maybe some large Chinese investor or any investor, to be honest. But yeah, these estates in the past week, we've seen 1.2 million mana spent, $62,000. So the land market is very, very active relative to other markets generally, especially for being, it's probably the most active virtual land market I've ever seen. It's consistently selling, like every day there's at least 200,000-300,000 mana worth of land that sells, maybe 10,000 USD and above. Back in September, November, December of last year, the land market went pretty crazy. There was like 100,000 US dollars being spent every day, and there was tons and tons of land being sold. So it's kind of come down a little bit, especially because Bitcoin has crashed even further, and the confidence in the market has been low. And that's another thing you got to be wary of in the Decentraland economy. Okay. So let's kind of move past the economy. Let's go and move towards what kind of awesome things can you do in this world. So High Fidelity is way ahead of the curve, way ahead of Decentraland in terms of the creator experience, right? You can create, you can share, you can participate in, you can hold events. They're way ahead in the sense of being able to explore these worlds and benefit from what the product is. The product is way ahead in that sense. Now, Decentraland, although they've got a lot of the backbone structure figured out, they've got the voting system on blockchain, Agora, they've got avatars recently released, they have the drag and drop builder, they've got an SDK kit for people that want to get more intricate with developing. They haven't released the product, so you can't actually see or log in and talk to real people. You can build things offline, which is fun to do, but it's not open yet. So when that opens, there'll be more to analyze, but for now we can just analyze it as is. So High Fidelity, this is pretty cool. So you can go to highfidelity.com/events. It's all these different events you can go check out. This one's pretty damn cool. Nefertari's Tomb Experience. So you can click and buy tickets over here and watch the video. You can watch the video and have a fully immersive historical kind of VR experience and learn about how this whole thing worked in VR. So it's pretty damn cool, to be honest. So I think the whole VR world should be full of this stuff. Hopefully High Fidelity or Decentraland is just going to be full of these kind of experiences where you can just go in and have tickets for different places and experience all this stuff, right? People will be having educational events, people will be having game events, people will be having investing events, people will be pitching ideas to each other. It'll be like a whole amount of stuff you can do in this metaverse. So High Fidelity, this is a really cool template as to what I really want from one of these worlds. So way more of these events. It's really going to open up the world for this kind of stuff to be more frequent. So people can have their own events. They can put it in the events section, and people from High Fidelity have been creating really nice immersive experiences like the Mexico City I showed you guys before. Kind of see it again if you want to. So this area over here, you can have this gaming, like dancing worlds that you can just pretty much select and join. They have a lot of meetups and stuff like that, but I think they're moving away from that. They want to go more towards having experiences. So that's High Fidelity. They're way ahead in that sense, and there's a lot more you can do. With Decentraland, they recently had a building contest. So they gave the top 50 entries got land. They got at least one piece of land. They got mana. Some of them won phones. Some of them won hundreds of thousands of mana. Like I think the first prize was that. And this was all of these were made by their simple drag and drop creators. So you can see some of these really intricate designs, like this one. This was a floating world that he built with like rocks and tiles and all kinds of things, right? So these can be imported into Decentraland when ready, and people can go and search and kind of explore them, right? I think this was built on maybe a 35-piece parcel of land. So it'll be really interesting. You can see the design they've kept for a very simple poly limit, just to make sure that the experience is smooth and it's not laggy for the dominant share of the users. And they have mentioned that they are going to relax on those limitations as time goes by, and they realize that most people can run these things in a fluid manner. So hopefully these are going to get more and more detailed as time comes. But you can see these are the top 50 designs made by the contest, and we have plenty more to come. These are just the ones made by the Decentraland drag and drop builder, but many people have created their own things. So you can see ACL Crypto, which is one of the original developers. He works and builds really cool stuff, and I've checked out a lot of these guys' mansions. He's built like TVs in his mansions, websites. You can kind of explore all kinds of things. It's really, really cool what he's done. he built a mosque for a client, which is really cool. Being Muslim myself, I can appreciate that. I feel like it's really cool to think that we can kind of go virtually and discuss different topics, politics, different religions. Like if you look into the Decentraland marketplace, you can see that there's a small area that he has bought dedicated for that mosque area, and around the mosque area, which I think is really, really interesting, there's more cultural areas. So you have the Muslim quarter. Okay, you've got the Muslim quarter where he'll probably import that build over there. Then next to the Muslim quarter, you have Shwegadon Pergola, which I believe is a Buddhist kind of temple type thing. Then you have Mother Russia land. What do you have over here? Christian area. How cool is that? Like, to think that like we had some significant events recently. I'll call them a bit like significant tragic events. We had a shooting in New Zealand. Some mosques were shot up and a lot of people died. We also had a bombing in Sri Lanka, a lot of churches during Easter. Very, very sad. But to be able to kind of go in here and talk about what's happening, it's just really nice to think about that. We can kind of communicate and connect in that sense, right? Be a bit more connected, hold events, maybe even some open days for me to learn about different religions, for me to learn about different cultural aspects of Russia. Who knows, Dragon City, I can go in there and learn about Chinese language, games and all such things. It's really cool to see what might happen. And I think it's really cool that they all share the same space. It kind of imitates the real world. When you're walking down the street, you're not walking on a parallel universe to someone else that's also living down the street. Well, at least I don't think you are. But you're just walking past your neighbor. You can say hi to him if he's out. If not, you just keep walking past. But that's how the virtual world should mimic. It should be a massive world where you walk in, you can talk to everyone around you, you can walk out of different places, walk into other places. That's kind of how I vision this world to be. And hopefully Decentraland moves in that direction. Well, it seems they are. So that's ACL Crypto. He has made more and more stuff using the SDK kit. Now with the drag and drop builder, it's kind of become a little bit easier, but definitely not as intricate as this. And this is really exciting to see. So that's what's been happening with Decentraland. They also have plenty of partnerships with game companies. So let me close these. I've got some company. So Axie Infinity is a blockchain game where you can. It's kind of like Tamagotchi / Pokemon, where you can have these digital pets, have them on their own land, battle them in VR, or hopefully eventually. Breed them, kind of like CryptoKitties if you've learnt about that. And they're coming to Decentraland, so they're going to open up a part of the experience in Decentraland, and they're going to be there. We have chain breakers that held their ICO in Mana, or their pre-sale in Mana. Pretty cool. We have Animoca brands that have partnerships with Atari. They recently had a partnership with Atari, and they've dedicated to bring 2 games to Decentraland. So I don't know if they're going to be Atari related games, but 2 games featuring internationally recognized and widely loved brands coming to Decentraland. So there's those 2 games coming to Decentraland. And that's that, right? So Decentraland has that kind of momentum in terms of building and content, but although the world is just not open for everyone to see. Now, with High Fidelity, I did want to touch upon one really cool thing that I've seen. So what you saw before was, we can go in and see different events, etc. But look at, some people are building different items and selling them on the marketplace. This really cool video is like a bit of a infomercial type of marketplace video where these 2 are advertising this item.
It must cost a fortune. No, you'd be surprised. What would you pay for such a beautiful bracelet? 2,000 HSC. Lower. 1,000. Lower. 500. No, it's surprisingly affordable. It's just 150 HFC.
Isn't that cool? And these units are actually,
on your wrist.
They're limited and they're verifiable by the blockchain. So they each have their own certificate. And it's basically a marketplace that Decentraland want to move towards. So they obviously want to buy and sell people's creations on the marketplace, but to see how people are kind of moving around this marketplace with High Fidelity, it's really cool to see what's emerging from that sense. If you go to the marketplace, you can see people are selling all kinds of things. They're selling different apps. They're selling Weapons, wearables, I believe is a popular one where you can get. This is what we saw. You can have fairy wings, you can have a watch, you can have angel wings, you can have all kinds of things to kind of modify your person in high fidelity. It's really cool to see this ecosystem develop. Hopefully it gets more and more popular. We went through that, and that's basically it, guys. So that's the dominant share of what Decentraland and high fidelity are, and a bit of a difference in the way they kind of want to run things. At the end of the day, there's plenty of battles being fought by both of them. They have to figure out a lot ahead of them because they're both venturing out into new worlds. But I've also done pros and cons of each one, although I don't want to get into that too much into my article that I've written. It's going to be available for everyone very soon. But I've done pros and cons of both Decentraland and high fidelity. So read that when you get the chance. As investors or content creators, you need to know what's going on. Again, in terms of high fidelity, I would appreciate people dropping their knowledge if you're part of that world. If I've missed anything, I want to create, at the end of the day, I'm not biased towards anything. I want the realization of a metaverse world. So whoever can do it, if they work together, they work separately, whatever, just want to see it happen. But I do want to go through some issues faced by both platforms. Blockchain and VR are kind of new technologies, although blockchain's been around for like 10 years now, and I think VR has been around for a while as well. But in the sense of adoption, we're very baby infant stages at the moment. There's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built for both to function in a fluid manner, for the majority of people to be acquainted with both experiences. VR headsets need to go down in price. We need to start moving away from bulky things that we put on our heads. No one really wants to do that. It's kind of like old school. Blockchain needs to be less of a confusing word. It needs to be incorporated without even needing to learn about blockchain. To kind of buy Ethereum and buy Mana and buy HFC, you have to do all these kind of roundabout ways that, to be honest, not many people will do. In my personal circle, there's not many people that I know that have invested this heavily into blockchain or even know what blockchain does. So to kind of have a VR and blockchain combination, you're working with a really small niche. So that's an issue faced by both people, where the whole ecosystem around blockchain and VR needs to improve and become more accessible to the wider community. Okay, and I know VR is moving in that direction now. There is the Oculus Quest coming out, which is pretty cool, where traditionally you've always needed a PC and a headset to run virtual reality experiences. Which you can imagine is quite expensive because you need a PC that's powerful enough to do that. Now Oculus Quest, which I think is going to be about $400 is going to be much more affordable. It's going to be the PC and the headset in one, so you're not going to need a PC. Obviously not going to be as powerful, but it'll be there, right? So that is a step in the right direction for sure. The current VR market is quite small. I went through that before. High Fidelity have mentioned issues. So this is a topic that kind of came out in their General Assembly video, where managing filters is quite difficult. Managing ban lists are quite difficult. What kind of things do you allow and not allow in the filters? If you make the filters too strict, too little people will attend these places. If you make it too lenient, you're going to get some people that are quite annoying participate and piss some other people off. So sorry guys. So that's been a bit of a hurdle to get past. There are many talented content creators, no doubt, artists and people that want to create and build things, build universes. There's a lot of that talent and a lot of those kind of people that probably find it most rewarding participating in these worlds. But with Decentraland specifically, you have a large amount of people that are involved with Decentraland at the moment that are involved as investors. So how is this going to pan out with investors and creators? It's kind of pulling in two different directions, where investors might make the ecosystem a little bit more difficult for creators to literally just buy a land and start building. Obviously, investors bringing up the price of land might throw away might push away some content developers, but then again, content developers can even get some land for free to rent for a while. can even join some districts who will welcome them to come and build. So there is that kind of stuff available. Right, so content creators and artists, again, they're really talented at what they do, but just because you have a really nice immersive world doesn't mean that everyone will come and visit it, especially if you're trying to create one available for the public, right? So if you're creating something, an experience, a world, some scene available for the public, you have to market it. You have to learn a bit of marketing. You have to learn a bit of monetization. You have to learn how to get eyeballs to your scene. You have to start a Twitter account, a social media website, maybe even a normal website. Start pumping some content on YouTube, etc., etc. Start networking. You have to do these kind of things, and I guess content creators like to keep to themselves, or the majority of them do. They like to just build really nice things, and I think for both of these platforms, High Fidelity and Decentraland, it's a challenge to kind of get this place support these content creators with a way that they can get their creations out there and people can see it, comment on it, and participate in it. So whether it's a forum, a Discord group, or maybe something that you can just simply search, if there's so many experiences on Decentraland and either one of these platforms becomes something like the World Wide Web or the internet, and there's like just like how there's hundreds of thousands of domains or millions of domains or websites you can visit, and if you just create a website, then unless you share it with someone, no one's really going to find it. If Decentraland or High Fidelity get that big, then they'll need to allow discovery to be easy as well. So in conclusion, guys, at the end of the day, there is some serious attempts at building a virtual reality or a virtual metaverse where you can spend your time out of the real world. Whether it's Decentraland or High Fidelity that make it happen, it'll be interesting to see, but I think there's a lot of value that they can share with each other from the learnings, the things that have worked, the things that have not worked. And adding blockchain to this, I think it's taken it to the next level. I hope with the younger generation learning more about blockchain, Ethereum, handling cryptocurrencies, understanding what blockchain is about, transacting in a more secure area, understanding about digital identity and all such things. This is probably a lot of confusing words for people that haven't explored these spaces, but if you know and understand these spaces, you'll understand how easy and necessary they are to kind of conduct yourself in a virtual area. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a few things, whether you're from High Fidelity or Decentraland. Please share it in your communities and let me know what you think on the comments. Thank you very much. I'll see you guys in another video.